Most people think my search for truth began about 4 years ago, but for me, it started in the summer of 2010. It's been a long 15-year journey. Along the way, I realised the simple truth. If you don't understand the problem, you can't find the solution. For a decade, I tested different processes. I went down the rabbit hole of legislation, the myths of the straw man, the reality of the courts. You name it, I looked at it. In 2021, I created the No Obligation Challenge. But after watching that process play out and going to the court myself, I realised that challenge was just another chapter. It was time to evolve. Because we are spirit, we are connected to the spirit of the law. This is the equity and justice that stands above their cold man-made rules. My foundation has always been grounded in God. Now, after a decade and a half of searching, I'm ready to present the conclusion. So this is the Genesis Trust. It's the true hierarchy of authority anchored in the original trust deed of Genesis 1:26. It's an 11-level chain of title that explains everything. This video is your introduction to God's trust, your conscience, and the law. We have much more coming, especially regarding level 11, and it will change much of what you think you know. But first, we must understand who we are in the chain. So let's begin.
We begin at level 1, the grantor. In trust law, you cannot have a valid trust without a grantor, the entity that originally holds the assets. Now, we need to be very clear here. This is not about a subjective religious definition. You cannot just make up your own meaning for the word God. You cannot point to a man and say, he is God, and you cannot stand up and claim, I am God. Why? Because in law, title comes from creation. If you did not create the dirt under your feet or the air in your lungs, you are not the grantor of them. The state didn't create them either. Therefore, neither you nor the state holds the absolute title. Level 1 acknowledges the originator. Without this anchor, power becomes its own justification, and the state will try to step into this void to claim it is God. We secure our liberty by acknowledging that the ultimate title is held by the Creator, not the government. This brings us to level 2, God's law. Think of this as the ultimate validity filter for the entire system. Because the grantor, level 1, owns the house, he sets the house rules. These are the objective standards of right and wrong. Things like, thou shalt not kill and thou shalt not steal. This is crucial because it limits what the state can do. The state cannot simply pass a statute to make theft illegal and call it a tax, or make murder illegal and call it a war, if it violates the objective standard set at level 2. If a government writes a rule that contradicts God's law, that rule is not law. It is lex injusta, non est lex. An unjust law is no law at all. It is void from the moment the ink hits the paper. Without level 2, the law is just whatever the most powerful group says it is. With level 2, we have a standard to hold them accountable. This brings us to level 3, conscience. Before we get to the man, we must recognize the guide inside the man. Conscience is the receiver. It is the internal judge that transmits God's law, level 2, directly into your reality. This is critical to understand. You do not control your conscience. You cannot force yourself to believe a lie is the truth. You can ignore the signal, but you cannot switch it off. Because you cannot command it, it clearly sits above you in the hierarchy. It is the immediate, undeniable voice of the grantor. It is the only judge that truly matters. Level 4 is you, the biological man, the spirit. This is the pivot point of the entire universe. You stand in the middle. You were created by the grantor, which is level 1, which makes you a subject under God. But you are the creator of the state, which makes you the master over the government. You sit in the power seat. The state did not create you, therefore the state cannot own you. You possess the equitable title, the right to use and enjoy the earth, but here is the critical key. Nemo dat quod non habet. You cannot give what you do not have. Since you do not have absolute sovereignty, only God does, you could never give absolute sovereignty to the government. You could only give them a limited role to serve you. If they claim more than that, they are stealing what was never yours to give. This brings us to level 5, common law and equity. Now, notice the shift. This is no longer the source of your conscience. That was level 3. This is the public record of it. Common law is simply the written evidence of how free men have applied their conscience over centuries to resolve disputes. It is the collective wisdom of the people. Because you, level 4, created the courts to serve you, you stand above this record. You are not a subject of the common law, you are the author of it. However, this record is your greatest weapon. It is the shield you pick up to remind the state that they cannot violate the ancient customs of the land. It proves that the principles of right and wrong existed long before their statutes were ever written. Level 6 is the king, but you must stop thinking of him as a ruler. In the Genesis Trust, the king is the head trustee, the CEO hired to manage the estate. His power is not absolute, it is conditional. We know this because he signs a specific contract, the Coronation Act 1688. He does not just promise to be a good leader. He is asked specifically, will you to the utmost of your power maintain the laws of God? And he answers, all this I promise to do. By swearing to maintain the laws of God, level 2, he legally subordinates himself to the grantor. He admits he is under the law, not above it. His sworn duty is to use his power to block any politician who tries to violate that higher law. If he fails to protect us, he breaches the trust. Level 7 is the Judiciary. Think of them as the referees of the game. Their job is not simply to punish you, their job is to ensure that the players, the government, are obeying the rules, the Constitution. This is the definition of the rule of law. It means the government is under the law, not above it. A judge has a very specific limit. As the maxim says, Judicius est jus dicere, non dare. It is for the judge to declare the law, not to make it. If a judge acts like a legislator and tries to create law from the bench, or if they enforce a statute that violates level 2, they stop being a referee and start fixing the match. Level 7 exists to check the abuse of power, not to enable it. Level 8 is Parliament. Here is the shock that changes everything. They are just the administrative committee. The state wants you to believe they possess absolute sovereignty to make or unmake any law they please. But that is legally impossible. Why? Because they are hired by you, level 4. The master, you, cannot give the servant, them, more power than you have yourself. Since you don't have the right to steal from your neighbour, you cannot give Parliament the right to steal from your neighbour and call it a statute. Their power is derived, which means it is limited. Any Act of Parliament that tries to rise above its station and violate the trust is not law. It is a breach of contract. Level 9 is the Constabulary. We must distinguish the office of Constable from the modern role of a police officer. A Constable acts under the common law. They are the hands of the king, sworn to keep the peace. Their duty is to protect life and property. That means protecting you, level 4, from harm. But a police officer often acts merely as a corporate enforcer for level 10 statutes. When they are stopping a crime, like theft or assault, they are acting as lawful constables. But when they are harassing you for a victimless administrative offence, they are acting as policy enforcers. The supreme law is salus populi, the safety of the people. If they are enforcing a policy that harms the people to generate revenue for the state, they have abandoned their oath. Level 10 is statutes. This is where 99% of people get trapped. They think this is the law. It is not. Statutes are merely the house rules of the corporation. They are administrative instructions for managing the state's business. Crucially, they apply to the legal person, the account, not the spirit, the actual man, unless you consent to stand under them. If you have not broken the peace, level 9, or violated God's law, level 2, a statute is just an offer to contract. It is corporate policy. As the legal maxim states, generalia specialibus non derogant. General statutes cannot override your specific God-given rights, something we will cover in future. A rule made by a servant cannot bind the master without his agreement. Finally, we reach level 11, the legal fiction. This is the interface. It is the name on your birth certificate. Now, we must address the biggest distraction in the freedom movement. Many people have been led to believe that the all capital letters means you have been turned into a corporation. That is not the case. Believing you are a corporation is a trap that keeps you arguing in the wrong jurisdiction. A corporation is a business structure. This entity is something else entirely. For now, understand this. The fiction is an asset. It has no soul, no breath, and no rights. It is fully subject to the statutes at level 10. But you are the biological man at level 4. You are the operator, not the machine. The ancient maxim is fictio cedit veritate. Fiction yields to truth. When the living man stands up, the paper fiction must sit down. We have uncovered exactly what this entity is, and it is going to be a game changer for all of us. We will reveal that in one of our deep dives. For now, remember, you are the spirit. Do not confuse yourself with the mask. This is the Genesis Trust model. Take a good look at this map. It doesn't matter what path you have walked or narrative you have followed until today. We have all been stumbling in the dark, fighting the losing game down at level 10. But when you finally put the grantor, God, back in his rightful place at level 1, the chaos turns into order. The Genesis Trust makes everything absolutely crystal clear. Authority flows down, accountability flows up. If you are arguing at level 10, you are a subject possessing only privileges granted by the state. If you stand at level 4, you are the beneficiary of God's trust. But of course, this comes with responsibilities. But we have only scratched the surface. The truth we have uncovered about level 11, the real meaning of the legal fiction, is a massive game changer. It shatters the old theories. We were all so close, but now we finally have the answers. The search is over. The remedy has begun. Welcome to the winning game.
The hierarchy is set. The trap is open. They act like a sauce, they act like a king, but in the code of record they don't own a thing. They write the statutes, they demand a fee, but they forget the order of the hierarchy. They look at the people and call us the subject, but looking at the trust to make an objection. You're confusing your role, you're losing your lane. Let me break it down clearly, let me explain. Who gave them the title? Who signed the deed? Nemo, Quod, Habet, that's the truth we need. They act like the master, but they're just the trustee. They work for the public, which means they work for me. Who gave them the title? Position 1, the top of the stack. God is the grantor, there's no turning back. He holds absolute title, the source of the breath. His natural law rules from birth unto death. Position 2, the people, the man. We hold a wordable title according to the plan. We have dominion, the right to decide. The masters of the servants who work by our side. Position 3, the state comes in last. Holders of legal title, a duty from the past. You have no rights, you only have duties to protect the assets and serve the community. Who gave them the title? Who signed the deed? Nemo, Quod, Habet, that's the truth we need. They act like the master, but they're just the trustee. They work for the public, which means they work for me. Who gave them the title? Who gave them the title? Now here's the warning, the trap for the clerk. If you step outside your oath, if you shirk your work, you lose the protection, the indemnity fails. You're naked in commerce with wind in your sails. You're a trustee that's untaught of your own wrong. You've been playing the tyrant for way too long. No corporate veil, no place to hide. We're taking the assets you try to divide. Personal liability is the name of the game. You'll pay for the trespass in your own private name. Listen to me. If there is no grantor, then you are a tyrant. But if there is a grantor, then you are a servant. And a servant cannot command the master. The chain of title is broken. The fraud is exposed. We are the beneficiaries, and we are taking back